Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talking with Teens podcast. I'm your host, Julia Pope, and today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Fancy Farmers Farm Snacks, the snack that keeps you fit and fabulous. Today, we are responding to listeners who have tweeted in with their questions on the brain-body connection on how healthy habits can affect physical and mental health. Today's first tweet is from Michelle Kay, an 18-year-old senior from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who wants to improve her dietary habits and her struggles with anxiety. She tweeted in wondering if the old adage of, "you are what you eat," really is true when it comes to eating habits, and if she changes what she eats, will it help her anxiety? So Michelle, to answer your question, let's start off by discussing what actually happens to your body when you eat certain foods. According to psychiatrist Drew Ramsey, an assistant clinical professor at Columbia University, he said, "Traditionally, we haven't been trained to ask about food and nutrition, but diet is potentially the most powerful intervention we have. By helping people shape their diets, we can improve their mental health and decrease their risk of psychiatric disorders." Now, with this information, I have come to the conclusion that yes, Michelle, eating certain foods does have a connection with our mental health. But like the rest of you listeners might be wondering, what specific types of foods benefit someone's mental health? And I'm here to dive into that even further. Our next tweet comes in from Aaron H., a 15-year-old freshman from Montpelier, Vermont. Aaron is grieving the loss of his beloved goldfish and is turning to ice cream for comfort. Since he lives so close to the Ben & Jerry's ice cream plant, he is finding it difficult to resist his cravings for Chunky Monkey. This is having a negative impact on his physical and mental health, and he would like to know what other foods he should eat to feel better overall. Well, Aaron, you're in luck. I've spoken to some amazing experts here in Denver, Colorado, which will answer your questions, but more importantly, will help you feel better soon. When I spoke with Dr. Andrea Arvanti, a psychiatrist at Kaiser Permanente, she explained that foods high in omega-3 and fatty acids can be beneficial to your brain because they release necessary nutrients such as EPA and DHA, which help our bodies thrive. So, Aaron, instead of getting the fats and sugar from Chunky Monkey, even though I know it's a really good ice cream, I encourage you to consider eating those foods that are high in omega-3s and fatty acids, such as salmon, nuts, eggs, and spinach. And those are just some examples. There's a variety of foods that fall into that category as well. Also, Aaron, don't feel bad because binge eating is a normal response when you're feeling depressed. The other doctor I spoke to, Dr. Sharon Olson, a psychologist at Denver Family Therapy, she shared that when people are depressed, they turn to food for comfort to help them cope. And in return, the food provides a surge of glucose or sucrose. Now, although it seems like a logical reaction to turn to food whenever you're sad, the food only acts as temporary relief and causes weight gain over time. Binge eating disorders are almost as common as anorexia, but it's the other extreme of overeating without an awareness, rather than simply undereating without an awareness. Therefore, it's important to understand that mental health can be heavily impacted by one's diet, and even those of you that are on the air right now listening that don't have any mental illnesses, still, your diet can benefit you with your mood, body confidence, and other physical attributes. Thank you again, Aaron, for sharing your story, and good luck on your journey to better health. Now that we've talked about dietary habits, let's focus on exercise, another essential aspect for improving mental and physical health. Our final listener today, Marie L., a 16-year-old junior from New Orleans, Louisiana, tweets that with her rigorous academic load and work schedule, she is struggling to find the time and motivation to exercise. She also mentioned that her school offers limited physical education classes. With these limitations, Marie does not know when she can possibly find the time for exercise and if it's actually going to benefit her health. So Marie, it sounds like you have a lot going on right now, but did you know that exercising will actually lower your stress levels, increase your energy, and help your sleeping patterns? I completely understand that life is busy, but researchers at the University of Michigan set out to investigate if exercise can promote a positive mental attitude in the same way that it reduces negative mental health symptoms. And they found out that as little as 10 minutes of physical activity per day was found to make a significant difference to a person's mood. Now, from my personal experience as a runner, I have learned that after a workout, the body releases endorphins, such as dopamine and serotonin, and both of these are two very important chemicals used to regulate someone's mood. And with depression, basically there's an imbalance of those. It's a variety of chemicals, but those two, an imbalance of chemicals in your brain. And so by exercising, these endorphins contribute to that runner's high feeling that somebody feels after they physically exert themselves, and causes a natural buzz and sense of accomplishment. So yes, Marie, make the time for exercising. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day to be physically active, it will help you out tremendously. Alrighty, so I would like to thank all of my listeners and all of the tweets that I used today for my show for being so vulnerable, and thank you all for sharing your concerns with me. Now, several of you might be wondering why I decided to talk about this topic, and I'm going to briefly just mention something that happened to me last year. So last year I experienced a very severe episode of depression and anxiety that I had never experienced within the entirety of my life. And unfortunately, I got to the point where I had to drop out of my home high school and continue my schooling online just because I was unable to do a lot of things that I used to be able to do and go in public, and it was really difficult for me and for my family members. And so with this, I think the majority of this episode lasted about 6 months, but up until this day, I still have to go to therapy and take medication for it and those kinds of fun things. But anyways, living with chronic depression has taught me that it's just one of those things that you have to accept. It's a part of who you are, and it doesn't define who you are, but you have to make the best out of it. And since last year and the experiences that I went through, I have made a better effort to take care of my body by exercising and being more mindful of the food I eat. Now, I'm not saying I have the perfect diet. I actually just ate a piece of rum cake before doing this recording. But for the most part, just making the effort to eat healthier and to exercise has definitely made a direct impact on my physical and mental well-being. And one last thing I'm gonna say, there's not a formula for how much exercise you should do a week that will for sure get rid of your anxiety, and there's no absolute diet that you could follow that will get rid of your depression. And I wish there was a way to completely eliminate these mental illnesses, but unfortunately, there's only ways to help them so far. And so with these tips and tricks that I've shared with you all today, I really hope that it can help you as much as it's helped me. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in to today's episode of Talking with Teens. This is Julia Pope signing off, and remember to keep sending your tweets in. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.